Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is a quick video on the time management skills for IGCSE and GCE Paper 1. We're going to be looking at how we can divide those 2 hours strategically so that we end up solving all of the questions and have time for proper editing and proofreading at the end as well. Most students don't end up losing marks because they don't know English. They lose marks because they spend forever on one question and then they rush through the rest. So what I've done is that I've created this really easy cheat sheet in a way that I've divided those 2 hours. And so what we can do is that we can spend time on annotation and reading and exactly how many minutes should we be spending on each question. Everything is mapped out really clearly so that you will not have to start guessing in the exam hall as to what you should be doing. So let's quickly get into this. Now this is for IGCSE, so we're going to be starting off with that. If you can take a quick look at this and you can take a screenshot of this somewhere, and then you can take a look at this later on as well. It's going to help you a lot. Please remember that this text I have at the very top has been taken from the examiner report. So examiners, this is from the syllabus as well. So you can take a quick look at this and see how examiners actually expect you and push you to spend about 15 minutes of the first 2 hours reading the texts that you have. So you may know that in IGCSE we have 3 texts. We have text A, we have text B, and we have text C. So what we're actually doing is that we are ensuring that we are spending enough time on all 3 of these texts, and the questions are divided per each text. So we have to ensure that we give enough time to all 3 of them. Now, if you take a look, what I've done here is that I have given about 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes simply to reading the text. This is something that the kids ignore. What you guys do, some of the candidates, what they actually do is that they take the paper, ignore the insert, start taking a look at the questions and everything that we have going on, and the insert is ignored. That is not how you start. You first start by taking a look at the insert. The insert is the booklet that has the 3 texts, and then you go on to read every single text, and that should take you 10 to 15 minutes. I have written 10 here, and examiners have written 15 here because it depends entirely on whether you're a quick reader or a slow reader, but it should take you approximately 10 to 12 minutes. So the first couple of minutes are about reading the text. Then we move on to question 1A to 1E, which we call short questions, comprehension questions. Some of them are implicit, some of them are explicit. We are going to be discussing them in the workshop that we have today. About 12 minutes of this 1A to 1E you are going to spend on writing down the answers to this question. Now, for some of you, this may feel like very less time, but remember, we have lots and lots of stuff to do, so we have to manage time. You can spend maybe 2-3 minutes above this, so you can maybe extend it to 15, but try not to end up doing too much because eventually it's going to be a problem at the end. So for short questions, 1A to 1E from text A, we're going to be spending about 12 to 15 minutes on this. And then 1F is the summary writing question you can see here. So 1F, we're going to be spending about 10 minutes on annotation or reading text B because question 1F comes from text B. And once we are done, I already made a video on this summary writing question. You can underline the points, read the text, and flesh out your notes and everything. All of that is going to take you 10 minutes, and then about 18 to 20 minutes is going to be spent on actually writing down the summary. Then comes the most important part, which is text C. You may have noticed how we have about 50 marks from text C and about 30 marks from 1A to 1F, actually. So text C requires the maximum amount of time. 2A to 2C, the 3 short questions that we have from text C. 5 minutes for reading text C in the beginning once more because we already read it once when we had started our exam paper in the very beginning. We're going to be spending about 5 minutes going through the text one more time for 2A, 2B, and 2C, and about 15 minutes collectively in solving all 3 of them. Some kids I've seen end up spending about 10 minutes only, and that's great if that works for you. But ensure that the questions are being solved together. What do I mean by that? If you are touching text C, ensure that all questions of text C are done before you move over to text B or text A. So it doesn't matter which text you pick out first, whichever one you do, ensure that you are spending so much time on it that all of the questions are getting done with before you move over to the next text. Then you talk about 2D, which is again, I will be making a video on this tomorrow, inshallah. we are going to be spending about 8 minutes annotating. What do I mean by that? In question 2D, if you know it's the writer's craft question, you're supposed to pick out 3 examples from one paragraph and 3 examples from another, and that's 6 examples of language to comment on. So about 8 minutes for figuring out those 6 examples, and then about 15 minutes for writing it down. And eventually at the end, you have question 3, which is the extended response to reading. We are going to be spending about 10 minutes figuring out the details for all 3 bullets that we have, whether you have an article, report, journal, interview, letter, or speech, and then about 18 minutes writing it all down. And this eventually sums up to about approximately 110-115 minutes, giving you about 5 minutes for the final editing at the end. Please remember that these minutes are approximations, so you are allowed to play with them and extend them or decrease them wherever necessary. But this is just to let you know that every question has some kind of reading going into it. So don't jump into the question just directly, I would say. Spend some time with the reading part as well, and eventually you'll get the hang of it. Now let's move forward to the GCE Paper 1 time management. Now GCE gives you 2 texts, so this is one of the biggest differences that we have between GC and IG. You have 2 texts, there's no text C. Again, we're going to be spending about 10 minutes reading text A and text B, and then we're going to be moving forward to short questions, which are question 1A to 1H. So we are going to be spending about 20 minutes on those questions because they are a lot. And then we need to ensure that we get done with all of them before we move over to the next ones. 2A and 2D are slightly tricky because they are the language questions, so you have to spend some time on this as well. We're going to be spending about 10 minutes reading text A, and then we're going to be spending about 15 minutes for writing those questions down. Why have I written 2E separately? Because it's a language question. Again, 1 paragraph, 1 example to be figured out. 5 minutes in figuring out the 1 example that you will be commenting on, and then 10 minutes in writing it down. Again, I will be discussing this with the writer's craft question video that I will be making, so we'll take care of that as well. 3A is again the infamous summary writing question. So this is from text B. 10 minutes for going through the text, again, figuring out the notes, fleshing them out, annotating the text and everything, and about 20 minutes in writing down your summary. And then 3B, last but not the least, is your short response question where you will be spending about 5 minutes from the text figuring out the implicit details, and then 5 minutes in actually writing it down. And that still gives you 10 minutes for the editing part. Please remember that this editing is very, very important to ensure that we have done everything, because there is no choice in paper 1 of GCE and IGCSE. So if you end up losing marks in a question that's unattempted, that's going to be unfair to you. So you have to ensure that every question is attempted, wrong or otherwise. Make sure that no question gets left unattempted. Thank you. More videos are coming in. Like and share and subscribe, I guess. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.